Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode of Rotten Reviews. On this episode, I take a look at the 2009 film Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen. It has a 20% on the tomato meter and a 57% on the audience score. Quite a rotten sequel, as expected of most sequels. Quite rotten. In any case, 2009, this Transformers, a lot of people blame it on a writer strike or I don't know, the threat of a writer strike. I'm unclear as to whether an actual writer strike occurred when this was in production or whether, the writers were just not working as they prepared to go on strike. In either case, that's an excuse that doesn't really work because this movie has so many flaws. It's so disappointingly bad compared to the first movie. And not being a big Transformers fan at all, I enjoyed the first movie. The first Transformers movie was fun. It was original. I didn't know anything about Transformers. I wasn't the age group to be into the Transformers, and yet I watched the first Transformers movie more than one time. I saw it when it was still in the movie theater. I enjoyed it. When it came out on DVD, I watched it probably 4 or 5 more times. Definitely, because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the humor, and as crazy and weird as Shia LaBeouf turned out to be in the future after the first Transformers movie, he was cast perfectly for the first one, and his weirdness and his attitude really did work, and it worked with the story. This one, biggest disappointment of all time. I saw this when it came out on DVD, and it didn't take me more than about 10 minutes to determine that I was going to find the whole thing rather disappointing. It had like an excessive use of military jargon, an excessive use of weird humor like sex humor, marijuana humor, dogs humping dogs, dogs humping legs. Um, Sam Witwicky's parents, they were potheads, and they were just, while it was quirky enough and entertaining enough to see them in the first one, in this one they were entirely too much the feature, and as they took Sam to school, they didn't add anything funny. They were just annoying to me. And of course, you found out right away that, you know, he was going to go to school and the robots were not going to be there. And then, I don't know, it just went off the rails for me. When the plot began basically by having a chunk of the Allspark fall out of one of Sam Witwicky's shirts, and he found this chunk. And when he grabbed this chunk of the Allspark, it made him react to it in a weird, cringeworthy, weird way. This kind of destroys a lot of the logic set up in the first movie. He was running around with the entire Allspark between both of his hands, clutching it like a football, running around in the first film. It didn't make him react and go all crazy. So this movie, right from the beginning, the whole start of the plot is just stupid and it doesn't make sense. The humor is just ridiculously bad. Why did we need to see a long close up of John Turturro's, his, I don't know, his government agent in underwear and see his ass in a big ass shot scene? Uh, it's really bad. There's nothing funny or interesting about this. It's cringeworthy. And the most cringeworthy element of this that just made me want to shut this film off completely and walk away from the screen was when they were fighting in the Smithsonian. And the Smithsonian, we all know, is in Washington, D.C. I've been there myself 2 times. Let me assure everybody out there who hasn't been to the Smithsonian Air and Space Museum in Washington, D.C., there is no back door in that building in which you're going to run out that back door and find yourself in Southern California or in Ohio or someplace where there are gigantic planes parked out in the middle of nowhere. I'm sorry, but there are no back doors that lead from Washington, D.C. into California. Doesn't work that way. When that happened, I just wanted to reach for the remote control and shut this thing off. It wasn't like it was perfect before that, but that was just the deal breaker for me. But I didn't shut it off because I wanted to see if it would get stupider than that. just how far down the shithole this thing would go. And it went all the way down the shithole. You had, almost as bad as that back door to California from Washington, D.C., you had a transformer teleport them to Egypt, and they were driving around in Bumblebee. Bumblebee transformed into the late model Camaro. They're driving it around on a highway in Egypt, rolling up on a checkpoint in Egypt with Egyptian soldiers there, and the soldiers didn't think there was anything unusual about that, really. A car from the United States driving on its highways, rolling up to a military checkpoint, you're just going to check their ID and let them through? Excuse me? I don't know if they thought it was 6-year-olds that were the main audience of this, but that's not the case. A lot of adults went into this movie expecting to be entertained, and they were entertained by the first movie. I'm not saying the first movie was like some kind of highbrow entertainment. It wasn't. It was stupid and it was fun. But this movie went way far down the shitter. Like, it expected you to have the intelligence level of a 6-year-old, and even a 6-year-old might have a question after a while about how a car from California is going to be driving around in Egypt, and you'll just show your ID to somebody, the police or the military, and they just won't have any problem with that. Really? How the fuck did the car get there? It's got a California plate on it. Excuse me. There's a real problem here, and there was a lot of other stuff in the movie like that, but those are the two main things that stood out to me. The end of the movie was incredibly boring. It was like the most long, drawn-out, CGI-filled, expensive Michael Bay robots fighting each other on the ancient pyramids. The pyramids, the 3 pyramids of the Giza Plateau, which were blown to hell too. Oh yeah, it sounds fantastic, but it was completely long and boring. It sounded good to somebody, but when you saw it, and it just went on and on and on, and everything they showed about the U.S. military was basically cardboard. Just everybody's walking around spouting military jargon and looking serious, but not really saying anything or taking logical decisions, and doing really crazy, stupid, childlike things. Really, 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 really bad. Such a fall down from the first movie. Such a disappointing, pathetic fall from the first movie. So bad, so sad. So anyway, before I just derail myself and depress myself, because I really enjoyed the first movie, let's go on to the audience reviews. See what other people think. Oh wow. November 13th, 2019, 5 stars. My son said he was a transformer after watching this movie and tried to contort himself into a car. He has 2 dislocated legs and had to get an arm amputated. He has been in the hospital for the last 10 years, still in a coma. I love you, Joe. Yeah, kind of a attempted humor here. It's about as funny as the Transformers humor was. It's not. Nice try, though. 1.5 stars, September 2019. Worst sequel I have ever watched. The first movie was decent, but this, such a disappointment. I agree 100%. I give this movie I'm struggling to agree with 1.5 stars. I'm thinking 1 star. Yeah, I'm going to say 1 star, and I'm not giving it any more than 1 star. Sorry, I'm not. Even Megan Fox, even showing her sexy. Sorry, saw that in the first one, and it didn't give me more of her in this one. So no, I might have given it a half extra star for that. No, 1 star. This is 1 star. 2 stars. This movie is hot garbage, but it's fun hot garbage. The action scene in the forest is the best in the series. Still, it's not a good film by any means. Makes for good background noise if they're playing it on FX. Yeah, there was a robot battle scene in the forest towards the beginning of the movie. It was good. I mean, it wasn't as bad as the other Michael Bay action robot scenes in which you can't even tell what the hell's going on. You could tell what was going on in that, and I think that's why it stands out as probably the best robot battle in this film, because a lot of Michael Bay's robot battles, you really can't even tell what the hell is going on. He wants you to fill it in with your imagination about how, somebody got from point A to B real quick and started firing and then went to point C. He's got this thing chopping up so bad in the editing that you can't even hardly tell what the hell happened. I mean, yeah, you see robots doing things and soldiers running around and shooting at the robots. Um, yeah, I'd say, yeah, any scene in which you can actually tell who hit who and it makes sense and you didn't have to guess about how it happened is probably a good scene because, yeah, Michael Bay is just like, he is literally on acid when he's, having this thing edited together. How hard is it to have CGI robots fight each other in a way that you can see what they're doing? How hard is that? It's not hard because other movies do stuff like this and more complicated things, and they pull it off just fine. For some reason, Michael Bay just can't figure out how to do that. Half a star. Literally one of the worst Transformer movies I've seen all year. Nothing was interesting and exciting. Well, okay, there's only like one Transformers movies every year or two or three, so I think he means one of the worst movies he's seen all year, but I'll continue. None of the characters show true emotion, and the dialogue was such a scrunched up piece of paper that I couldn't figure out what was going on except for giant robots hitting each other. The comedy wasn't funny, the jokes are over the top garbage, and the cinematography was sloppy. Michael Bay gave us the laziest piece of cinematography of all time. I agree. The only thing is, why do people keep giving him money? Why do people keep seeing these things? I heard that, this is what I've heard because I haven't actually seen Transformers, what is it, the first night, the one that has Mark Wahlberg. I haven't actually seen that one. I haven't attempted to see that one. I could just by pushing a couple of buttons on my remote control, but I just haven't decided to subject myself to that because I heard it's so rotten it makes this look decent. And that's too bad. But I actually tried to sit through the third one, the Dark of the Moon Transformers, and I actually made it through half before I felt like falling asleep. I don't think I actually finished that one, but this one is the most insulting because, it's such a letdown because the first one was so enjoyable. This one, it pretty much said, hey, no, these are going to be like shitty cash grabs. And if you're dumb enough, you can just keep paying to see each one. And somebody is because they keep making them and they keep getting rotten scores, and yet they keep making them, and people keep paying money to see them and they keep retconning more things about Transformers. I mean, originally Transformers, there was one buried in Antarctica, okay. Then it became Transformers, well, they've been on Earth for centuries, okay. Then it became Transformers, well, the Earth is actually a giant transformer, it's been that way the whole time, and so guess what, surprise, you're on a big giant transformer. Okay. Then again, apparently in the first night, we get dinosaur transformers. Apparently the dinosaurs were wiped out by transformer dinosaurs. And transformers were actually around in the Middle Ages fighting with different medieval armies. Somehow history forgot all about that, but it happened. According to the Transformers movies, the only thing left to do is, I guess, say that, God is a transformer or something. Maybe that's the next phase. Transformer angels and demons and stuff. I mean, what else could Michael Bay do? Who knows? Let's continue. 2 stars. This movie, all right, it could have been way better. It had its flaws, but I left the theater very disappointed, and I'm going to give this a D+. If I saw this in the theater, man, my butt would have been sore and I would have been in a bad mood when I left that theater, I'll tell you that. Let's also talk about Shia LaBeouf's arm brace. Apparently, at some point right before the film production started or at the beginning of it, he did something. He had a car accident or a motorcycle accident or something. I don't care to look it up again. He broke his arm. His arm was in a cast. So what they did was they just kind of sloppily put that into the movie, but they didn't even do it right. In the movie, it actually comes across as a plot hole because they did it so sloppily that they couldn't even, like, they showed him hurting his arm in the movie, and then all of a sudden it cuts a scene later and he's got a professional bandage wrapped around his arm, a cast, the real one that he had in real life. Yet no attempt to explain who applied this to him in the desert of Egypt. So all it did was introduce another plot hole into the movie. All they had to do was explain who, had medical training and put that cast or that wrap on his arm. But nope, they couldn't do that. They just made it into a plot hole. In their quest to explain how he had an arm cast, they made things worse. So go figure. Talk about sloppy and lazy. 1 star. Transformers 2 is insane. It's not something kids can enjoy, or adults probably. The Transformers are too close up. The characters are appalling. The visuals are sloppy. The direction is off. And last but not least, the screenplay is just terrible. It's the second worst film of 2009 behind District 9. No, District 9 was a decent film. It's not even in the same genre as this. Why people want to bring up District 9? It was not even in the same genre as this. It's not even. It's like comparing an apple to a baseball. No, I'm sorry, they both fit in your hand, but that's the only similarity there. Half a star, worst Transformer movie ever. Yeah, well, this is a review from August of this year, 2019. I'll disagree because, well, it's pretty much well known that The First Knight is the worst one of all time, but this is right up close to it, I guess. 2 stars, the acting in this is so poor, it is laughable. Yeah, I'll agree. 3.5 stars, the second Transformers movie is okay, not good, but a popcorn summer movie. It has an okay plot. There are many unnecessary and silly scenes. The backstory showed is great. Sadly, the film didn't take care of that. The action sequences are amazing. The human plot is okay. Wow, you just give it too much credit. I'm sorry. Even mostly the robot fighting was just pointless, long, and boring. Nothing new. Yeah, there was a gigantic robot that functioned like a vacuum cleaner. Big damn deal. Nothing new to see. Just stupid. 3 stars. It's not as good as the first movie and did foreshadow the complicated messes that were to come in the form of more sequels. But honestly, it's at least watchable, and they at least tried to bring Transformers lore into the movies, though it could have been done much, much better. Yeah, 3 stars, no, 1 star. Yeah, it told me right away when I saw this that, yeah, they didn't care anymore. Michael Bay didn't care anymore. And it just goes on, and who knows, maybe there's another one coming. Well, actually, there is one called Bumblebee that has good reviews, but it's not actually one of these Transformer movies. It's like a prequel before all the other Transformer movies, and it's almost like a different genre because it's more of kind of like a Herbie type movie, more of a thing where a girl is kind of like friends with Bumblebee. I don't know, I haven't seen it, but it definitely doesn't fit in with these. And it's not rotten by any means on Rotten Tomatoes. Half a star. Devastator was the only thing to get me to watch it at home. Didn't even like that. Yeah, I think Devastator was the one that was like the gigantic vacuum cleaner. Yeah, how devastating. It was lame. 2.5 stars. The effects and action are still top notch, and I don't think it's as bad as everyone says it is. However, it's still not very good either. The story is just more of the same, and some characters, the parents, Mudflap and Skids, are irritatingly annoying. Yeah, Mudflap and Skids. They're two stupid, juvenile, comic relief little Transformers. Oh, they're supposed to be so cool to 6-year-olds, but as an adult, they just bring your finger closer to the power off button on your remote. It's not good. 2 stars. While this movie is a guilty pleasure of mine, I can't help but recognize how bad it is. Yes, the forest battle was awesome and the visuals and soundtrack are incredible, but everything else falls flat. First off, the biggest issue, the Transformers feel more like side characters in their movie. Instead, Bay thinks it's a logical idea to focus on Sam the entire movie instead. Also, why did we need to see John Turturro's ass cheeks? Why? Overall, a guilty pleasure of mine, but still a pretty bad movie. Well, if you're talking about John Turturro's ass cheeks and then saying this is your guilty pleasure, I can only imagine what you're getting out of this film, and I recommend that you keep your hands in plain sight when you watch this. That's just my recommendation. Half a star, as good as could be expected as a sequel to Bay's Transformers. In other words, bad. Yeah, Seeing what happened next, I'll say any disparagements you can cast on Michael Bay, he deserves those. 2.5 stars. We know that Michael Bay got a director's strike, but they could have to worked a lot more. Director's strike, I think they mean writer's strike. In any case, he should have gone on strike and just not done this. I would have been satisfied if Transformers just had one movie and that's it, because they just get all, it's just all downhill from the end of the first one. So anyway, 1 star, loud, obnoxious, forgettable, and beyond annoying. 1 out of 5, awful, I agree. 2 stars, obnoxious and unbelievable. While there can be some decent scenes and some spectacular action and visuals, Revenge of the Fallen is where the series started to go downhill. It's worse than you can remember. I think actually the first one started to go downhill at the actual end. Um, but not enough to be a bad movie. But yeah, the ending, it just got a little dull for me. 2 stars. I recommend not to blink in the moments of action. You do not understand absolutely nothing. Yeah, that's Michael Bay's choppy editing with the action. Even if you don't blink, and you don't blink at all, and you put toothpicks under your eyelids to hold them open, and hell, just slow mo the thing. I did that during one of the scenes. I remember doing it. You can slow motion some of the action scenes. You still won't be able to tell what's going on, because all you're going to get is the same jump from one place to the other in the sequence, and yet it just looks a little bit blurrier. Freeze framing it and going frame by frame, it doesn't improve it, believe it or not. That's how bad it is. You still can't tell what the fuck happened. 5 stars. Probably the most underrated and bad reviewed movies I've seen. Wrong. You're not American. You are probably in a small village in India or Pakistan, and you think that this movie is like the pinnacle of Hollywood. I'm sorry, but it's not. 1.5 stars, a terrible action movie with ridiculous moments and a script right of very bad. Yeah, aside from the broken English, the script was very bad. They didn't even try. I mean, how do you go from a back door in the Smithsonian and then you're in California, for example, or wherever it was supposed to be with the planes? Really now? 0.5 star. I added a 0.5 star for Megan Fox's tits. No, because you don't see them. You don't see any more of them than you do in the first movie. I'm sorry. She's kind of overrated like that. For how sexy she was supposed to be, and she was like Michael Bay's girlfriend and all that. She really didn't give us anything if she was supposed to be sexy. It's just all like 12-year-old boy sexy. Come on now. Very disappointing. 3.5 stars. Fun and cool CGI. The next chapter of the Transformers franchise needed a bit better plot. I don't know if any of them had a plot after the first one at all. It's just a lot of uh, scenes that are barely connected, illogically connected, uh, military jargon up the wazoo with no apparent point to it. Yeah, 3.5 stars. Fun and cool CGI. The next chapter of the Transformers. Yeah, I read that one. I don't want to repeat it. 5 stars. Not English, or it's English. They're trying to be funny. I'll try my best. This movie, great. All you haters go die. And then we can watch this movie at your funeral. I hate you. Wow. Again, I don't know what country you're from. Maybe very remote eastern part of Romania or something, and this movie is just like the greatest thing of all time, and to hell with all of us. Okay, whatever. 4 stars, best of all Transformer movies for me. Okay, sure. Maybe it's for you because you're one of these guys that was also really enamored with John Turturro's ass cheeks. Could be. 4 stars. The funny transformations of these robots in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen are dizzying but very cool. Except for dazzling, the scene has no real purpose. But as long as you look at it, its purpose is enough, because there are advertisements in it. This implant is too hard, a bit eyesore, and it would be better if it could be removed. They're basically saying this thing is crap, but they're giving it 4 stars. From the name of the reviewer, I wouldn't pronounce that properly if I tried. Maybe they're in a remote region of China, one of the regions that still doesn't have indoor plumbing, but somehow it has electricity and they can watch this on their cell phone. Sorry, it's not 4 stars. 1 star. The only good thing about this movie is the theme song. I'm not sure if it just has the same music from the first one. I don't know, and I don't care, and I don't remember. 1 star. Probably the worst of the Transformers movie franchise. Revenge of the Fallen story is extremely uninteresting and illogical during most of the movie. While there are a few outstanding action scenes, it is not nearly enough to save this movie from the criticism it receives. I agree. 3 stars. This movie has great visual effect and big scale, but there are no reasonable plot and structure. But this is one of my guilty pleasure movies. My score would be 6 out of 10. What are you getting out of it then? Great visual effect and big scale? Are you sure there's scale there? You know, when Michael Bay films these Transformers, if they didn't put some cars and some soldiers in there, you wouldn't know that they were giant robots. They could just be toys on the sidewalk. I mean, for all the scale you're really getting. It's just a complete CGI fest. Half a star, and amazing testament to what my fellow nerds will pay to see. But in all fairness, it was before we understood that it was all going to be garbage after the first one. I agree completely, half a star on this. Yeah, we understood at this point that it's all going to be trash from here on out. 2 stars, bad sequel, still watchable though. Not to me, it's not. I felt like shutting this thing off, you know, not even halfway in, and I just had to finish it to see how ridiculous it might get. 5 stars, December 2018. A cool, funny, action-packed, and exciting adventure that will equal the success of the original. Oh, really? You think so? Are you posting from the past? You're a time traveler? I'm sorry, it didn't equal the success of the first one. 2 stars, 39 out of 100. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen is painful to watch. I wanted it to end so badly, but the movie takes 2.5 hours. I'm going through these movies just to see how good or bad they really are, and the Transformers franchise is nothing but bad up until now. The fights are mind-numbing, the interactions between characters boring. At least they kept some of the actors from the first movie, so there's a bit of continuity there, but the dialogue is really, really bad. Yeah, and you know what? The only reason Megan Fox was in the first two is because she was still sleeping with Michael Bay after she broke up with him. Guess what? Surprise, surprise. She wasn't there in the third one. She was gone. Hit the road, Jack. Yeah, because that's all she was there for. You know, Michael Bay put her there because he needed her to be with him, and that was that. But once it went south, yep, so did her career, and yeah, I don't even know what happened to her. I guess she's in something now. Maybe she's doing voice acting. I don't know, but she vanished. 2 stars. Only went to see it because of Devastator. Complete letdown. Again, why do you think a giant vacuum cleaner is going to be exciting? It's not. 3 stars. A sequel that repeats the success of the first but lowers the bar in the humor and character development department. Yeah, I don't know if it lowered the bar in anything. It didn't repeat any success of the first. It didn't do anything successful here. Maybe it got people to pay for it, but for not for very long. That's for sure. Maybe until word of mouth spread how bad it was. 4.5 stars. Plenty of fighting robots and TNA. No, there's no TNA. There never was. Just the hint of it for 12-year-olds. And fighting robots, yeah, when you can see what the hell's going on. Otherwise, just take your Transformers that you bought at Walmart or wherever and just like do your own battle sequences. At least you can see them from whatever angle you want. You're not going to wonder what the hell happened when you throw them into each other. 5 stars. This one is amazing. It doesn't deserve a 19, at least a 50%. Yeah, in what universe? Not in this one. 5 stars. Awesome. Now we got right down to battles and war, so that makes me happy. No, it's very boring. And watching like this human team of military hunt down rogue Transformers or Decepticons, that's very boring too. Nothing exciting about it. You know, that's how the movie opened, and I was like, yeah, I'm bored already. and I couldn't see what the hell was going on half the time. 5 stars. This film is actually amazing. Fallen is great. Megatron is great. No, I'm sorry, it's not. 5 stars. A worthy sequel to its first. It's no 19%, but it's a 60% audience score. Close enough. No, it's not. This is going to stay rotten. Nothing gets it out of rotten. Nothing's going to budge it out of rotten. Sure, make another one. Make one worse than the first night. Make one that makes the first night look like a cinematographic masterpiece. Put like 5 Academy Award winners in that puppy. Go for it. It's still not going to make this one any less rotten. 2 stars. First Transformers movie I watched, so it holds a special place in my heart, but that doesn't help the fact that this is my least favorite Transformers movie and just a really bad movie overall. Well, I'm sorry. I don't know how you thought that you should watch this one first. I don't know why you thought watching the second one was like the thing to do in any movie series. Don't you think you should probably watch the first one first? Oh, but anyway, I'm sorry you did that. My recommendation is just to watch the first one and don't go back to the sequels. Don't continue if you know it's good for your mental health. Let's continue. This movie ruined all the good things from the last one. Sam is annoying. Optimus isn't in the movie that long. Bumblebee was probably the only standout in this movie. This movie does have a great action scene in it. The forest battle was awesome, but that is pretty much it. Yeah, you're still being too kind to this movie. I say it's worse than that. 57% audience score. Nothing's going to move that out of rotten. I'm sorry, nothing. It probably should be more like a 37% audience score. That would feel more right to me. But in any case, it is what it is. And I just hope there aren't any more Transformers movies. Why put us through that? Why just suck up the movie theaters with a pointless other crappy rotten piece of nothing? Allow the movie theaters to have space for a movie that we might see something new, that we might be able to see what's going on. Don't put another Transformers out there. Make it straight to video. That way, at least we have something in the theater to watch. Straight to video, please. So that's it. Transformers Revenge of the Fallen should have been Transformers How It Went Bad, How It Did Fall, or Transformers The Fallen. That would be good. In any case, I will see you all again on the next episode of Rotten Reviews.